Guten Abend, Peeps. Liesel here once more, and tonight, yes, I am delighted to be bringing us what will be the final bits between the bits of 2025, I do believe. Although not the final video, so no worries, there will be a special, but more on that later. So less waffle from me and straight in. I have located the captain's log this time. Yes, to write down all the bits, so hopefully I won't forget, or at least I'm less likely to. I have actually billed this as the most incredible ever bits between the bits, yeah, the very final of 2025, and I would like to start, as always, with big love and gratitude to our very latest subscribers, our very latest community members. You know, from the bottom of my heart, I am ever so grateful to us all, yeah, for being a part of this wonderful community. And I think it's most important, yeah, just basically say that right at the beginning. So, as you know, we've had quite a prolific run on builds lately. Yeah, our very start again, Liesel. Our very latest being the leg fiddle, which was inspired by Dr. Liza Sayhu. So here's the latest progress anyway. As usual, everything's scattered everywhere. But here's the latest state of play on the fiddle. As you can see, the fingerboard is now on. I basically pinned this using bamboo wood dowling pegs, as they are very strong, and I thought that would keep the fingerboard nice and stable. The rest of the build, I will admit, we are winging it. And yeah, you can tell as I have made one or two errors already. Basically, first off, getting the box upside down. Yes, that's right. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's of no consequence, let me tell you. I did intend to have the sticker here, the tax label, basically at the top. In the height of building madness in the workshop, I did actually put the necking upside down. So I think the F-holes still look pretty much okay. I'd say we're about halfway through with this. I was going to have a tilted, I still will have a tilted tailpiece to correspond nicely with the angle of the fingerboard. Only I have had to go back to the drawing board. The original design, I did realise, was pretty low, and basically I thought we're going to have a lot of trouble stringing it. Yeah, adding the strings. So I've decided to scrap that, and I've come up with another design for the tailpiece, but for expedience mainly, I will go into that on a later stage in the build. So yeah, there she is so far anyway. Just to give you a bit of a rough idea, there will be a bracket here to hold the tailpiece, which is going to basically hover over the top of the box. Yeah, I will shelve this for a couple of days just while I kind of get my head around the rest of it. Yeah, this is Liesel we're talking about, and yeah, we will continue from there. So yeah, quite a nice design on the headstock. I've totally carved that out by hand and filed it. A little bit of a feature on the top, and you can see I've drilled the holes for the machine heads. It's going to have fairly standard guitar machine heads on there. Yeah, and yeah, the rest, as I say, I will cover at a later stage. So there's the fiddle anyway, which I did think we should begin with. Looking around the room and desperately looking for the captain's log once more. What's next? Okay. Yeah, I will say it's been something of a personal challenge, the fiddle. Yeah, but you know, the inspiration, as always, did come from you, the greater community. So once more, I am very grateful for that. And as I always say, you know, we learn from each other. and we learn along the way. And yeah, what an incredible year it's been, I must say. So, to other matters, yeah, we did feature 1 or 2 bonus builds over the last sort of month or so. Yeah, 1 or 2 of which I have here. Let us start with Beatrice. Yeah, you will remember her, I'm sure. And if I just dip off camera, here she is. Now, she was one in the series of our medieval punk instruments. Yeah, I did try her as a slide instrument. She is strung, generally speaking, with a double top E string. Top E, I don't know what E that is, but top E anyway. But I decided really that she would benefit being fretted. Now, if you've seen many times, I'm sure, Guinevere, she is also one of our medieval punk series. Yeah, she is diatonically fretted. Yeah, diatonically fretted. I decided with Beatrice, I would actually go for chromatic, so a full set of frets. Yeah, about 16 of them. And just to give you an idea, I made a start on the bottom. There we go. Perhaps if I get a bit closer to the camera, it might help matters. So we are going to fret this one. I think they are 2mm frets. All the way up the top. As I did play out with a lower action, I slightly lowered the action on this one, and I played her as a fretless, without the slide, just playing by fingers, and she sounded pretty good. So I'm quite hopeful for this one. I must say she's one of the prettiest things I've ever built. Nice little tail piece. She was something of a labour of love, this one. A slight back angle on the neck. Now, I know I've had many questions about securing the necks to stop them tilting, back angles and what have you. I will be covering all of these questions, yeah, early in the new year, but I'll get to that later. So that is on the way. Yeah, so I'm going to fret this one. We are quite ahead of schedule on the fiddle, so I do think there will be a couple of little bonus things. And at the end of the year, I do plan to have a holiday season special, maybe 1 video or maybe a series of 2 or 3 videos, yeah, to take us through the festive season. I thought that would be nice, yeah. So I'm keeping that under my hat for now. There will be more on that very soon, yeah. And 1 or 2 little surprises there, as it is the festive season. So, yeah. That's basically it for that one. I was quite pleased on Beatrice. We did go to town with the headstock. Pretty pegs, vintage style pegs on her. You can see I cut the strings off. So I haven't unwound those yet. But I shall, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, she's a beauty. The neck is lovely and smooth on the back there. And she is a pleasure to play. The scale length on her is 21 inches and using a caliper or a digital ruler. As before, I have marked out the fret positions as accurately as I can. Yeah, within a fraction of a millimetre anyway. So I'm hoping she does work out pretty well. Inside, 2 little resonator springs, and that's what we used in the days before we had amplifiers. Absolutely. And yeah, again, more on that later. So yeah, just 2 basic springs. I do feel that they make a great difference to the sound. I'll cover that also when I cover the other bits and pieces. There we go. And I couldn't close the lid on her again. That's these all, okay? Moving swiftly on, okay. Now you will remember, inspired by Steve's strings, we did have Neve, who is basically something of a banjo, which we made from a bodhrán, which is an Irish folk drum. It's played with a bone. As you can see, it's held at the back by this cross shape of wood. But we did discover that the neck was a little short on her. We had to sort of go right up on the body to play her, and it was a bit awkward. So I did decide to kind of go back to the drawing board with this one. Now, I did have a little bit of an idea. This is the bone that's used to play a bodhrán. But I thought if I cut it in half, we could actually make friction pegs, as you would see. And yes, as typical Liesl again, you can't get them in camera shot, but something like this. So yeah, I'm not sure they're quite long enough. I will basically make a slot here, and I'm going to attempt anyway to make some friction pegs. Yeah. So we've got something of an old school, very hobo instrument there. And she has now got a longer neck. Yeah. So I'm planning on something like 23 inches, I think, really, for the scale length on this one. She's going to have 2 strings and will most likely be a slide instrument, so she'll be fretless with the strings raised. At least that's the intention. Yeah, so that may well come in soon as a bit of a bonus. And there she is. Nothing fancy. A Jubilee clip. Other brands are available. For the nut, I trimmed the wings on that down a little bit because I thought they might get in the way. So I've shaped this plastic piece a bit. That does tighten with your fingers. It's a bit stiff now because I took the wings from it, but you can tighten it up with a pair of pliers. Yeah, so again, in true Liesl style, that's what I intend to do on this one. So there she is. Right, moving on again. Oh, previously we did have 1 or 2 restoration jobs on the go. Yep. Basically very old loot, which I still haven't started. I'm prepared to go quite sort of hobo and artisan on that, as it is in a bit of a state, but you know, really that's something to practice on. But we also had the most beautiful vintage balalaika. Now, if you remember, here is the balalaika. Whoops. She was manufactured in 1964, as I've had the provenance, in Moscow, in what was then the Soviet Union, Russia. When I received her, she is in very good condition, and there's some beautiful workmanship, as you can see, the back of the neck. It does appear she may have had some repairs at some time in her life already. I've done very little to this, because I thought it would be very easy to ruin this beautiful instrument. But what I have done is basically oil the fretboard again with very refined oil. I actually used sewing machine oil, which is refined many times. So it's a mineral oil, it's very well refined. And I added it very gradually, like a very small layer, and then left it for like a week, 2 weeks. Added another small layer, left it even longer, and then finally added a third. And I think we're there. These are not lacquered or varnished or anything, they're a bare fretboard, so I didn't want to go too far. I didn't want to remove the frets on this because I thought that would just ruin the neck, especially if I attempted it. So I've left that as it is, but she has got a lovely smooth feel to her. The one thing I did do, if you remember, was to recondition the machine heads. Now, as you can see on a balalaika, there's quite an unusual pattern for the machine heads. And they're actually quite floating on these old ones. They're held in place with this plastic bracket. Quite often it's made from metal, but this one is actually old-fashioned Bakelite which is very brittle. You've got to be careful with it because it can shard and splinter quite badly. But I did remove it very carefully and I cleaned it up with a solution of water and bleach. It's come out quite nice and clean anyway. And I did recondition the machine heads. Now you can buy these, they're hard to get your hands on. I saw a set in Germany, they were quite expensive but they were very nice. But I thought we'll have a go at reconditioning our own, and I think I've done a fairly good job. So here's the machine heads. They're absolutely clean. There was quite a lot of patina on these and they were a bit crunchy. But yes, having searched the internet, I thought the best way is to see how other people went about it. And yeah, basically I soaked them in distilled vinegar for quite some time. Very gently brushed them. More distilled vinegar. Very gently brushed them again. And again, I just put a little dab of sewing machine oil and left them on top of the cupboard for quite a few days. Bleach solution again to clean the ends of the pegs. And I think these are actually riveted in as well. They're not screwed in like modern ones at all, which is the sort of feature of this instrument, I do feel. But they turn absolutely beautifully now. And the machines still work. Yeah. Considering they're 61 years old, I think we can quite safely say job's a good one. So these will obviously, as usual, if I can get it the right way round, slot into the back there, as so. And we will replace the Bakelite cap on the top, like so. That's the intention anyway. I do have strings to put on her and the bridge is in a safe place so it wouldn't get lost. The bridge is in good condition, so I'm just going to put the whole thing back together. It's a very long time since I played a balalaika and I was never very good in the first place, so yes, I'm probably going to have a bit of a practice at that once she's back in one piece. But I really can't wait to see how she sounds. She is an absolute treasure. So there's the balalaika. Yeah, well on the way. I hadn't forgotten. And that's that really. Now, I think that is about it for now, peeps. As I say, I will be bringing us, as I just wreck everything, including the balalaika. Yeah, I think that's about now. It for now. Oh, only to say that we are going to have movable frets on the fiddle. And I do have copper wire. More on that later. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that is about it for now. Thank you all. And if you've made it to the end, I do appreciate it. Yes, putting up with me and my occasional senior moments. Such is life. That only remains for me to say, wherever you are, do stay safe. Whatever you're doing, do stay blessed. And whatever life brings, keep building. Okay, peeps, I love you all. Bye for now. Bye.